Hey peeps, welcome to another video. So a couple of weeks ago I asked you guys if you had any questions that you would like me to answer in a Q&A video, and yes, it turns out that you do, and you've given me loads, so I'm going to work my way through them. So it's going to be a long waffly one, so I would advise that you pause this, go grab yourself your beverage of choice and come back. And before we even get started, I'm going to answer the question that I get asked all the time and that I always forget to answer. What am I wearing? It is the Vogue 8577 shirt dress, and it's in the Cobra Corsage Cotton Lawn from Lady McElroy, and I believe I got this from Cotton Reel Studio or Fabric Godmother. I'm not sure. I think there's still some floating around out there in the sewing haberdashery world, so I will try and link some down below if I can find it. Oh, I love this dress so much. Yeah, and the print. I love the print so much that I actually bought it in the ivory colourway, and I bought it on crepe as well. And scuba. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, questions. This is when we need the internet to not be playing up, because all of the questions are on the internet. Come on, you can do it. This could be a really short video. Oh, come on. There we go. Right. So I'm going to go to Instagram first. I asked on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, and you guys have given me loads of questions to answer, so I'm going to start with Instagram and we'll go through. So Pixie Pins, which is Linda and Miss Millie, have said, "Hi Peep, I love that. Could you explain how to lessen the width of a neckline? I made a raglan sleeved dress but with kind of a roundish neck, but it's way too wide. I did do a small size on the neck part. I have some issues around my clavicle that I like to cover. Cheers my dear, thumbs up, dog emoji, heart eye emoji." Right, that's actually not an easy one to answer because I'd need to see the pattern, but if you send me some pictures of a pattern, I will do my very best to give you my two penneth worth of how I would do it, because as I keep saying, I am no expert, so I can't advise you on a standard this is how you do this kind of method because I don't know of one. But yes, Linda, send me some pictures and I will do my best to help. Okay, next one, Terry Alta 1. So the trouble is with like usernames is that there are so many different ways you can pronounce them, because it's, yeah, but I hope I got that right. I'm going to be putting up picture screen caps of the questions here as well, so you can see who I'm talking about. And you say, "Hey Sian, I love the tutorial," and that was for the circle skirt, I believe. Yes, the half circle skirt, sorry. And you've said, "I make all of my own clothing with a sleeve of sort. I have my own way of adding sleeves and most are not lined. Maybe show how you add a sleeve to a lined bodice, can be tricky. I love to set in sleeves even in my knitting." Yes, I can do that. I have shown, it wasn't a lined bodice though, I was going to say the McCall 6696 sew along shows how to French seam a sleeve, a set-in sleeve in. But if it was a lined bodice, I would do it exactly the same way. I would baste the armhole together with the lining and the main fabric, and then I would French seam the sleeve in the same way that I do in the M6696. Feels like there's too many sixes in that sentence. So I think, and in fact I did actually say that to you in the replies. So awesome. Next we have so these are more requests than they are questions. Rach Stitched Up, "I'd love you to do a vlog on using your cover stitch machine, Sian." Yes, I need to make friends with my cover stitch machine. I've had it for a couple of months now and I've used it once and it kind of wasn't doing what it was meant to be doing, and I think that's because I have the wrong thread in it. So I am making some knit projects this month and hopefully I will be getting out and using it. I did film myself using it for the very first time, and I am in no way trying to claim that I'm an expert or anything like that, so I will put up a video of me using my cover stitch when I'm a little bit better friends with it. But yes, there is already a video out there of me using it for the first time and just going, what is it doing? So there's that. And then Jan Atherton has said, "Rach Stitched Up, in reply to Rach Stitched Up, yes, I would like this too. I'm thinking about buying a cover stitch or a serger, but I'm not sure which will be more useful. Personally, I would say that your serger is going to be your new best friend if you enjoy sewing with knits. and you can also use it to finish the seam allowances on woven items as well. As you all probably know, I much prefer bias binding, hug snug seam binding and French seaming my sleeves on wovens, but for my knit garments my serger is my best friend. I absolutely love it. The cover stitch was a luxury purchase. It was something that was going to give my knit garments a beautiful professional looking finish on the hems, and I know you can do more than that with the cover stitch machine, but for me that was what I wanted, was that really beautiful finish on my knit garments. So I would say, personally, I would say if it's an either or, I would get the serger. And when I bought my serger, I was very close to buying the cover stitch and serger combined, and the guy at the sewing machine shop actually talked me out of it because he said it's just a pain in the proverbial to switch it between the two, and there's more that can go wrong with it. So he advised that I get just a serger. He didn't then go on to say, and we have separate cover stitch machines, which I would have bought at the time and probably have been terrified of for about 5 years and then started using, like my serger. But yeah, I would say get a serger. The Age of Fabulous, hello Jennifer, has said, will you be doing any tutorials with your overlocker? Yes, I did the Vogue 8974, I think that's right. I did that mainly on my overlocker, and I also showed on that one how to set in a neckband in a stretch fabric, and that was apparently a light bulb moment for quite a few people. So that there are some tutorials that I've already done, and I will be doing tutorials for knit projects in the future, and majority of the time that I will be using my serger for that. I did it for the Vogue 8825 sew along as well. I used my serger on that one as well. So yes, I will be. Did you have anything specific in mind though, like, I don't know, threading it or things like that? Because with threading it, I tie my old thread to the new cone and pull it through, and then thread my needles independently. But the upper and lower looper, I tie the threads to the old threads to the new cone threads and just pull it through, because mine is actually quite easy to thread because it has proper little coloured dots all the way along and shows you which way to do it, whereas the cover stitch machine wasn't quite as easy to thread. But that I've heard is a bit of a pain. But yeah, that's my tip for doing it. And then the last one is a compliment on my outfit, so thank you very much, Zoe. That was very lovely of you, but it's no questions, so I'm not gonna answer it. Right, I'm gonna open up the old lappy toppy. Trying not to get totally dead legs. How? Oh, I need to get better at stretching. Oh, I have got dead legs. I knew this was going to happen. Right, discussion. Where are members? Me. Find a member. 6 recent posts. Pattern swap. Q&A. 22 comment. Blind as a bat, so I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, I've changed position because I'm uncomfortable. Right, so the first question is from Renata, and it says, do you have a vision, purpose or mission statement for your business? If so, what? I have this on my brain as I'm doing strategic profile assignments for my small business course. Right, so when I started Kittenish Behaviour, it was a blog in its first iteration in 2010, and then about 6 years ago in March, it became the ready-to-wear and bespoke creations shop that I then morphed it into. And then about 2 years ago I moved into an actual physical premises and was doing commissions that would come across my path that way. And last September I decided that really wasn't for me because of the type of stress that it was causing, and that it wasn't actually very lucrative or cost effective for the amount of time and effort that went into making the things. But if I had upped my prices anymore, then I would have priced myself out of markets. So my vision for the business now is that I am absolutely loving YouTube. I think that this is an amazing platform, and it allows me to do the type of thing that I love to do. And I am very, very, very slowly building up a small income from the different resources that are available to me. So I love making stuff for myself. I will do selfless sewing, but I have found out that I much prefer to do it for people that are friends and family, and there is no pressure of it has to be done by a certain time and it has to be done to a certain standard. Not that my standards are not super high, and they are, and having looked at some ready-to-wear clothing recently, I'm quite amazed how high my standards are. But it's very nice not having the stress of having to make things for other people that are not related to me. I hope that makes sense. So with YouTube, what I would like it to be is the continuation of what I'm doing now. Basically, I would like to be able to feature more tutorials and sew-alongs. They are very labour intensive as far as filming them goes, because I can make dresses and things very quickly, but it's the remembering to pick up the camera and explain the processes of everything that I'm doing, which doubles and sometimes triples the amount of time it takes me to make a garment. So they are quite labour intensive, and I then have to edit them. And my first sew along that I did was super late because it was just the editing process. There were hours of footage, and I've refined it a bit now, because before then I was filming everything, and now I'm filming the bits that I know I need to film. And you do get better at that sort of thing over time. But I'm really enjoying teaching. I think what I would, my dream position would be to have a property of my own where I could have sewing retreats and do classes here on the island. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. That would be something that I would love. Sorry, that was a very rambly answer to that question. I hope it kind of gave you an idea. I don't think I have a kind of mission statement other than make the pretty things and share how to make the pretty things with the world. That's, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now and move on to the next question. So the next, oh, how are we doing on time? Yep, 16 minutes. God, I waffle. So the next question is from Joe, and it says, any advice on setting up running a YouTube channel? The kinds of things you wished someone had told you early doors. Also, we know Henry Cavill is the DC Mr. Shan, and with upcoming release of Avengers Infinity War, who is your Marvel crush? Okay, so the first part of this question, advice on setting up and running a YouTube channel. You have to love it, because it is hard work, and at least the way that I'm doing it is hard work. Daily vlogging and proper videos at the weekends is labour intensive, and this is my job. This is my full-time job, and I'm lucky enough to be in a position that I can do that. I don't have to have a full-time job to support myself whilst trying to make my YouTube channel work. So it is hard work, and it has to be something that you love, and that will come across as well in the subject matter that you're talking about. If you're not in love with what you're doing and you're just trying to fit into like, oh, a trend of these videos are popular, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon, it will tell. People will be able to tell. You need to be enthusiastic about your subject matter. The other thing I would say as well is consistency. It doesn't have to be a daily thing. Not everybody, not sane people have time for that, but you want to be consistent with your uploads. If it's once every 2 weeks, it has to be once every 2 weeks. Your audience will come to expect a certain schedule from you, and you will be rewarded for sticking to that schedule, because people will be like, I have this video I'm looking forward to. It's like on Fridays, I know I get a sew over it video, and I'm really excited about that. So yeah, there needs to be a schedule that you stick to. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't. I have upgraded some of my equipment, but I started off with my iPhone and natural light, and that does restrict you at certain times of the year. In the winter it can be very difficult, but you can get the same sort of effect. You can get daylight bulbs, you can bounce them around the room if you can't sit in front of a window. So don't get too hung up on, oh, I need the editing software, I need the camera, I need this, I need that. You need basic editing software, and you need a basic kind of camera, and you can start from there, and the rest can come. I think as long as you're enthusiastic about what you're talking about, and as long as you stick to a schedule, then your audience will grow slowly but surely. Yeah, I think that would be my advice, because I mean my YouTube channel's actually been going for about 6 years, and if you go way back in the archives, the first videos I uploaded were about paper crafting, and whilst I absolutely loved paper crafting. It was something that I wasn't doing very often, and I couldn't stick to kind of like, oh, I'll do a video every couple of weeks, because I wasn't doing it that frequently. I was bunging up videos when I made something, because I was also working full time, so it was, you know, just something that I'd seen other people doing, and that's how I'd found out about paper crafting and all of the goodness that it comes from America as a scrapbook white. Oh my god, you guys, you had the best stuff. It was just, oh, somebody else was doing that, I really like that, I'm going to show what I'm doing. And it wasn't any unique take on anything, and it didn't need to be, because that's not what the aim of this was for, but it was very irregular. And it wasn't until I saw, I think it was Lisa Comfort, I saw her Sew Over It channel, and I was just like, that's a genius idea. I love that. I love looking at the fabrics, I love looking at what you've made. I want to do something like that. And to start with, it was straight up copying of, this is my fabric haul, this is my lookbook, and then it's kind of morphed into what it is now. So start with something you love and stick to a regular schedule. I think I've said that 3 times now. Did you get the message? And then the other part of your question, Henry Cavill. Oh, Henry Cavill, he's beautiful. He is so beautiful. And yeah, he's also Superman. You know, helpful. Is my DC crush, my Avengers Marvel World crush. Oh, I don't know. No, I do. Tom Hiddleston. Loki. Yes, please. Thank you. Done. Next. Mum insists I'm calling him Tim Hiddleston, and she kept doing that, and I was like, Mum, you cannot call my future husband by the wrong name. It is Tom. She was like, no, Tim. Tom. Yeah, Tom Hiddleston. He's so pretty. I've actually seen him live in Coriolanus, and he blew me a kiss, which I will insert photo of here. I mean, he blew actually a kiss to the audience, but I was in the direct eye line, so I'm taking it. It was mine. It was for me. So yeah, I'll shut up now and move swiftly on. So the next one is from Lynette, and also Alex has said me too. So Lynette has asked, I'd love to know your different finishing techniques, because you really go the extra mile with them. And Alex has said me too. So I've listed them earlier. I French seam whenever possible, because it makes the tidy insides, and it also makes for a more durable garment if you're going to be washing it, because the raw ends aren't fraying because they're not there, they're all encased. It's slightly heavier fabrics, I will bias bind. I have just, some of you guys sent me some Hug Snug because I've been rabbiting on about it for ages. I saw that on Laura May's blog, which is Lilacs and Lace, and she uses, her finishing techniques are stunning, and she uses bias bind, she uses Hug Snug on everything. Even if you're not going to see the seams, she uses it on everything. So that is another good one, and it's really good for lighter weight fabrics as well. Although it is a pain in the proverbial. I much prefer bias binding, but bias binding tends to be heavier, especially the satin ones that I like to use. This dress is fully lined, and on the inside of this, because it's fully lined, I've pinked all of the edges. And I've done that because I saw on I think it was an Instagram feed on Dior, some of the insides of the vintage Dior gowns had pinked seams, and they're 70 years old and they have survived and looked beautiful. I mean, they've probably not been worn super often, and also they've been dry cleaned and they've been looked after by, you know, very rich people. But if it's good enough for Dior, it's good enough for me. I've had to move again because my legs went dead. French seaming, bias binding, Hug Snug, pinking, and I don't overlock. I will overlock knit items, but I don't overlock woven items. So that's my preferred finishing techniques. It's going to be really funny because I'm going to chop and change, and there's going to be lots of different positions, but yeah, that was making my knees go dead. So Joe has said, have you ever come across a sewing pattern to find that it isn't correct? Pieces do not match missing pieces. So modern patterns, no. Vintage patterns that have been used, yes. For missing pieces, that is. For pieces that do not match, yes. This dress actually, the 8577, the skirt portion, when you trace the top, because the skirt portions in this are huge, and you actually have to trace 2 separate pieces and stick them together. It isn't just me tracing the wrong size, because it's happened 3 times now, 3 different ones that I've made. The bottom piece is actually about an inch shorter than the top piece of the corresponding side. So I've stuck them together, and then I've had to add another piece in. Then also, for example, on This one, and also the McCall's 6696, the placket pieces are very, very short, and there are lengthen and shorten lines on this dress on the bodice here, on this midriff piece here, but there are no corresponding lengthen and shorten lines on the placket piece. So if you're adding length to this bit, you're definitely going to need to extend it's actually the facing on this one. You're definitely going to need to extend that, and that wasn't taken into account on that pattern or on the 6696. But both of those placket pieces are so short, and I have said in So Long for both of them that you just add a whole bunch of extra length onto those, just to err on the side of caution, and especially because of the way I hem these dresses rather than the way the pattern suggests to hem these dresses. And the other one recently was the Leah dress from Lisa Comfort magazine. There was an error in one of the skirt portions. There was about 2 or 3 inches missing, but it was something that they picked up on, that they sent out. We just, you know, we had to just tape it into the pattern piece. So yes, it happens, and it happens not frequently, but it is just one of those things. People are human, and you know, that sort of stuff does occur. So yes, I have come across both of those things. Next up was a question from Nancy. If you didn't have the career that you do, what do you think you would be doing? Right, when I was little, I wanted to be a Formula 1 driver, a marine biologist, an architect, or a teacher. I only learnt to drive 3 years ago in my mid-30s, so you know, that kind of was like ruling me out of learning being a Formula 1 driver, but that would have been so cool to be the first female Formula F1 driver. Oh yeah. Then the marine biologist, yeah, I think that was just because I like dolphins, and I kind of realised that you don't get to just work with dolphins, so, and there was a lot of science involved in that, and wasn't really my bag. So yeah, that one. Architect, Grand Designs is still one of my favourite programmes to this day, and if I ever do win the lottery, I'm totally buying that seafront hotel that I showed you the other day in the vlog. But I would also have a house built from scratch somewhere, because I just love that idea, and I already know, yeah, it would be great. So architect, again, there's a lot of math involved, and math is not my strong point, so that one. And then teacher, I don't know where that came from. I think I just really liked my teacher at the time, Mrs. Stanner. This is back in primary school, and the trouble with being a teacher is that, and please don't take this the wrong way, I love children, I just really like it when I can give them back to other people and I'm not exposed to them for more than 20 minutes, because I mean, I'm just no. So that's a slight flaw with wanting to be a teacher, is not enjoying the company of children for long periods of time. So yeah, that's why that one didn't happen. But the kind of YouTube has now morphed into me sort of being a teacher of sewing, which I'm actually really enjoying. So yeah, my battery's dying. Just changed the battery, and whilst I was doing that, I was thinking, it was when I was at school, was back in I left school in 95 or 96 at 16, and I went on to be a travel agent and do an apprenticeship with them. And I remember before we did our GCSEs, we had like an aptitude test, and it came back with what sort of jobs you were suited to given the answers that you'd given to this question, and mine was hairdresser, trichologist, window dresser, florist, so creative kind of things, but nothing that really appealed to me. And I think one of the other problems that I had with that was that there were so many jobs that I didn't even know that they were jobs. I didn't know that they existed. Like when I went to be a croupier, it hadn't even occurred to me that that was something that I could possibly have done. And to be fair, I applied to that to be a croupier. I more applied to be a Playboy bunny than I did to be a croupier, and when I was expecting to be made a waitress, and when they said, do you want to train to be a croupier, it was kind of like, okay. And I loved it, I really loved it, but I think that's one of the problems, that there aren't really, or for me when I was growing up, there wasn't really this availability of knowledge of what jobs there were available to do. So I did a year of textile design at high school, and then I dropped that to do craft design and technology, which was woodworking. And I don't know why, but I think I was just bored in the sewing classes. So yeah, it was just I did a very creative range of GCSEs, and then randomly I was looking for a Saturday job and I ended up getting a full-time job at the travel agents and doing an apprenticeship with them, and that's a random tangent to have gone down. But yeah, I think if I wasn't doing what I do now, I would still be a croupier, because that was the most fun job and best paid job that I've ever had. So yes, I would, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be a croupier still, be a Playboy bunny. Although a Playboy bunny approaching 40, maybe not, maybe I'd have been trying to get a promotion and get out of the bunny outfit. So Elise, oh gosh, I want to call you Elsie and that's not right. Elise has asked, what did you want to be when you grew up as a child? I think I've just answered that. So see above, same as the answers to Nancy, those things. Karma has said, would like to know the make and model of the 2 pairs of eyeglasses we see you wearing. I have a hunch one of them is from Tiffany & Co. I work for an eyewear company, by the way. Yes, you're right, these are from Tiffany. They have the Tiffany key on the side there, and my brown pair, which are very similar in shape, are from Jimmy Choo. And my lovely ex took me shopping one day and was just like, do you want, I needed to get some new glasses because I had 2 pairs that were exactly the same shape, brown, and exactly the same colours, brown and black. They were Ralph Lauren, and they actually split in half across the bridge because I'd had them for so long, for like 12 years. So yes, Tiffany's and Jimmy Choo. Who knew Jimmy Choo did glasses? The Carrie, which is So Pretty Kitty. I think I got that right, I did, yes. I second the tips for recording. I took the plunge and started and had so much fun, but had no idea how time consuming it is. Kudos to you for the daily vlogs. I'm So Pretty Kitty on YouTube, by the way, in case you fancy a snoop. So I've answered this question already, and I love your videos, and I think the Joni dress that you just made is my favourite make of yours so far. And then you also got some shark fabric, which reminded me that Fabric Magpie have shark fabric in stock, and I have ordered some. So it's your fault, that one, totally your fault. All the stuff that I said previously, make sure you love what you're talking about, or regular uploads. It doesn't have to be daily, but make a schedule and stick to it, and just engage with your community as well. Talk to the people, answer your comments for as long as you can. I mean, obviously nowadays I don't answer all of my comments because there are so many of them, and that became a full-time job, and I got very stressed about sitting and I've got to answer my comments because I feel really bad if I don't. And now I try, I read all the comments, I give them a little heart to show that I've read them, that I have seen them, and then if there are any questions I will either very quickly answer them, or I will try and answer them in the daily vlogs. So interact with your community as well as all the other things I mentioned. So this next one is from Araya, or Annie, and she's the lady that sent me the apple fabric at Christmas and the cat sign, which I am planning on using. And she has said, hey, have you ever been approached or like to be in the future by a wonderful opportunity of say where your sewing skills could teach those less fortunate with less opportunities, or writing a sewing journey book, etc. Not forgetting a chapter on She with the cutest cat emoji. Thank you. Actually, I was approached recently by a Canadian company that work with underprivileged children and try and explain, and the reason that they approached me was to talk about how maths is used in sewing, and they said that they're a non-profit charity, but if I ever found myself in their vicinity of Canada, that they would love to work with me and get me over there to do a talk to their girls about sewing and how math is used in sewing and how that kind of thing does apply to general everyday life. And I think that was one of the things that I really struggled with in math class, was the fact that they were making me do all this random stuff, and it was like, how am I ever going to use this in real life? But you do. And I think if they'd given you real life applications of it, I mean, obviously not for the people that were super talented at math and it was one of those things that they were going to go on to study at university and do doctorates in, and you know, the super clever people. But if they had given you more real world examples of how the things that they were teaching us would have been used in the future, I think I might have been more interested in the subject, because math is really not my strong point. But yes, I totally love that. I also I make some stuff for charity. There's a couple of charities on the island that I support, so I always do donations for their raffles and things like that whenever I possibly can. And the idea of writing a sewing book is lovely, and that's basically what my blog is and will be going forward, is my sewing journey. So I'm already kind of doing it, and it is accessible to the entire world, but I suppose it's one of those things that unless you know what you're looking for, you won't come across it. But yes, I love that idea, and that's a lovely question, so thank you. KK said, hello Sian, so excited for this episode. My question is, what tips, suggestions, ideas do you use to get out of a creative slump? Thank you. Right. Generally, I will go to my stash and stroke the pretty fabrics in there, or I will have a rifle through my pattern collection and pull out things that I'm like, ooh, that's nice, that's nice. The other thing I've started doing is stalking places like Net-a-Porter and Reiss and Club Monaco and sort of high-end fashion, and if I'm stumped for something to make or not feeling overly creative, I will then try and sort of think, oh well, that's why I bought the Rigel bomber jacket from Paper Cut Patterns, because I saw some of the Gucci bomber jackets, and then Alex from So Happy had featured the ribbing that the cuffing that she'd found, and I was just like, there was a little light bulb moment. It was like, I always really like those, I could make that. So I have different methods. Pinterest is another one. I love scrolling through Pinterest and kind of looking at different things on there and thinking, how could I make that work for me? So the other thing that I do as well is that if I am struggling with a project, I will put it aside and work on something else and come back to the thing that I'm struggling with a little bit later. Give yourself time, give it a time out, give yourself some, you know, something easy to do if it's a particularly hard thing that you're struggling with, or you know, that sort of thing. So distract yourself, take your mind off the thing that's stressing you out and move on to a different one. I love looking on the internet for inspiration and things like that, and there's so many different places to get inspiration this day and age. So yes, that would be my advice for getting out of a creative slump. Hope that helped. Okay, so the next question is from Jen, and it's, I'm going to underline a coat and the suggested interfacing is fusible knit interfacing. Reading up about all the types, it's been suggested that fuse knit tricot could be used for most interfacing, which would mean you don't have to buy lots of different types. I found it online, but it was over £50 for a whole bolt, and I don't want that much. Where do you buy your interfacings and what type do you use? Maybe someone or two would like to share a bolt. Okay, sharing a bolt, that's a genius idea. I used to get my interfacings from the local haberdashery, and they are not brilliant. Having used some other ones. So when I was going to, I'm still making my Romano coat, I've just not gotten around to it, but I have bought the interfacing for it, and I got that from Sew Over It along with the stretchy knit interfacing that I needed for the Victory Patterns Jackie dress, and those were a revelation. And I have recently upgraded some of the bag interfacings that I use as well. The ones that I have are not bad, but using something that's brilliant is it kind of underlines that this one's brilliant, this one's okay. The other thing I'm going to say is, when you've underlining and interfacing are different things. Underlining is when, say, you have a lighter weight fabric, like the red wool coat that I made. That was a very lightweight fabric and I should have underlined it. And so underlining is using something like brushed cotton and cutting out all of the exact same outer portion pieces, and then basting the outer fabric and the cotton flannel or the brushed cotton together, and to make a two-layer piece of fabric that you then treat as one single layer. So that's underlining. And then interfacing is different again, where you interface particular areas with either sew-in or fusible interfacing. So they are different things. But yes, the idea of sharing a bolt is a genius idea. And I've not heard of fusing it to tricot before, so I would be very interested to know where you found that. So yes, hope that answers your question. So the next question is from Jeanette, and it says, when you say you're going down to the main house, is that beneath you or in a different location? You occasionally refer to your ex. Is that ex-husband or ex-boyfriend? And then Kate has answered, Sian lives in the garden. Garden is on a slope, hence going down. Go down too far and you're in the sea. You're not wrong, Kate. So Jeanette, yes, I live in my mum and dad's back garden in the studio that you see here, and it is fully self-contained. I have a full kitchen, I have a full bathroom, and I have the world's largest washing machine and tumble dryer. ever, because this was actually intended to be a sewing studio, but unfortunately I just won't leave. They let me house sit for them for a couple of years whilst they were abroad, and then they came home and I refused to go. So they built me a house in the back garden to get rid of me to a certain degree. So there is, yes, there is separation. It is a totally separate place from the main house, and as Kate said, we live on a slope, so I have to go down to the main house down the hill, and if I go down too far, it is quite far, but if I go down too far I'll end up in the sea. And for exes, I'm going to be 30, well no, by the time you're seeing this I'm already 39 years old, so, or level 39. I've decided I'm not getting older, I'm leveling up, so I am level 39 and single still. So yes, I have had an ex-husband and I have had ex-boyfriends, plural, for the boyfriends, not the husbands, just clarify that. Okay, so the next one is from Shy Sewist Johnson. Hi Sian, do you have any tips, pattern suggestions for lingerie making, French knickers and a bra? Right, well, I haven't made any underwear as yet, so I can give you recommendations for companies that I know that do them. I can't say as to how the patterns turn out because I've not made them. Liz from Liz Sews, and she's also, you're in the Kittenish Behaviour Peeps group, and she's in that group too, makes the most amazing lingerie, and she's done a couple of sew-alongs from the Orange Lingerie Company for the Fenway bra and the Marlborough bra, I believe. And yeah, those Orange lingerie is one that I would recommend. Also Evie Lelouve, it depends on the type of bras that you want. Evie Lelouve doesn't do underwire bras, they're all soft cut bras, but her underwear range is amazing, and she does have tap shorts in there amongst other things. And then I've recently gotten some Simplicity patterns from the lovely Susie, and I got a few of Madeline's underwear patterns in conjunction with Simplicity. So I have quite a few lingerie patterns, but I haven't used any of them as yet. Another thing I would suggest is the underwear making classes that you can find on Craftsy. I am a very visual learner. I very much like watching video tutorials of how people do things, so that would be my suggestion. I hope that helps. Next question is from Kate, and it's, where would you like to be in 10 years time, either personally, sorry that's probably too personal, impossible to answer, lol, or business wise? Do you feel that you would be able to achieve what you want to achieve while living on the island? I'm an Isle of Wight expat, so know about the lack of opportunity, pain of crossing the water, etc, etc, lol. Mind you, look at Liz Earle, hasn't done her any harm. I saw Liz Earle at the Handmade Fair in Ragley Hall, and she was presenting the live stage shows with, and she did the one with Chinello, and she was lovely, and yeah, definitely hasn't held her back living on the island. I've been living here for 4 years now and I really enjoy it, and I think if I won the lottery I would have a London house and I would have a house here, and I would split my time between the two as well as going abroad a lot. But I haven't won the lottery, and as much as I love London, London is very, very expensive, and if you don't have the disposable income to enjoy London, it can be quite depressing as well. So I'm very happy down here. 10 years time in my personal life, I would love to be married again for a second time. I have nothing against marriage, I enjoyed it. So yeah, I would love to be married again. I don't want children, but I do want lots of cats, so I would like to be married with cats. If the marriage doesn't happen, the cats will, so you know, I have some control over that aspect. And then business wise, I would like to be doing what I said. I would like to be continuing to teach and do YouTube, or the evolution that this platform's going to take, and I would like to have a premises where I could do sewing retreats. Not necessarily have people stay at my place like a B&B, but have a big enough studio that people could come to stay in the vicinity and come to my studio, place, house, whatever, for sewing lessons and courses and that kind of thing, because I think that would be awesome. That's what I would like to be doing in 10 years time. Claire from Penguin and Pear has said, tell us your most outrageous story from Playboy days if you want to, of course. Playboy actually wasn't that outrageous. We had lots and lots and lots and lots of famous people come in, but the majority of them spent time in the Cocktail Lounge, which was the club, and not on the casino floor. So we saw very few of those up there. Mr. Big came in, Dita Von Teese came in. Dita Von Teese is tiny, it's so small, so small. Florence and the Machine. Oh gosh, so many people came in. It was one of those places that it was kind of new and fun to hang out, and yeah. Oh, George Lamb, he was pretty, and he told me I had nice red hair. I liked him. Who else came in? Lots of people, and lots of people used to perform there, like Florence and the Machine performed there. Aloe Black, I think, I can't remember his name. I Need Dollar, the guy who sang I Need Dollar, he performed there. But the majority of time that there were people performing, I was working on the casino floor, so I didn't really get to see them. And actually it was a very strict environment, and for good reason, and yeah, there's no real outrageous stories from that. It was an awful lot of fun. I got to meet Hugh Hefner, he was a total gentleman. I got to meet his son Cooper, who was also lovely. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun job. So we did get protesters on the opening night, and it was quite interesting, because my take on feminism is that women have complete control over their lives and have the right to choose to do whatever they want, even if that is to dress up as a 6-foot rabbit and deal blackjack and roulette to paying customers. I was lucky enough to have that choice to make, to apply for that job, to get that job, and to work in that job. That was my choice and my right to choose to do that. And there are so many atrocities happening all over the world to women who don't have those rights, who don't have those choices, who don't have those freedoms. And to me, feminism is about empowering those women to have the right and the freedom of choice, not telling me in my job that I am not being a feminist, I'm not supporting other females by dressing up as a bunny. I mean, I was more covered in that than I was in a lot of the times when I used to go out clubbing when I was younger. I used to wear hot pants and a crop top because it used to get hot and I liked to dance. So I was wearing more as a bunny than I had going out of a night out. But it was that is my choice. That was my choice to wear that, to go out, to have a great time and not expect to get any hassle from anybody. And majority of times I didn't, but I think that's the main story that I could take away from Playboy, was just that they are totally entitled to their opinions, and Playboy is not going to be for everybody. But it was one of the earliest equal opportunity employers out there. They were employing women in high-powered jobs. Hef's daughter was the CEO of the company for a very long time. They were employing multiracial cultures in the clubs that they have had open. There was no bias, there was no discrimination, and there is a different side to Playboy. And you know, I never wanted to be a live-in girlfriend or bunny. That was not my ambition whatsoever. But I wanted to work for a company that was supportive of women's rights, and I felt that they were. So yes, that's what I took away from Playboy. I hope that is slightly interesting. This is going to be so much fun to edit. Oh god, 23 minutes, I'm up to nearly 50 and I haven't even started on the YouTube questions yet. Jo has come up with a second question. She's like, oh, I have another question. Have you ever thought of drafting and selling your own patterns, maybe doing a tutorial? I would imagine that they would be a big hit. Now, I love that idea, but I am completely self-taught, and if I started getting to the point where I'd be drafting my own patterns, it would be off the back of something like a craftsy class, like Susie Farah classes, drafting slopers and things like that. It would then be going on to draft my taste in patterns from that, so I wouldn't feel comfortable. I suppose that everybody learns in some particular way, shape or form, but I wouldn't feel comfortable having done that class that anyone can take and then trying to make a pattern to then commercially sell. I would, and I don't have the skills to do that. That's not my skill set whatsoever. I am completely self-taught, and that has been from Craftsy, YouTube, blogs, things like that. And I do try and credit back to whatever tips or tricks I'm giving you if I got them from a particular blog or something. It's like the McCall's 6696 sew along. I found the button placement from somebody, a tip for that from somebody. I found French seaming pockets from somebody, and I found a collar stand and collar insertion tutorial from somebody else as well, and that was all linked in the description box underneath that video, because that's, you know, I'd sourced all this information from different places and I'd put it into one video and shown you a set of videos that was how to do this thing, but I had found all the different bits of information from other places and I referred back to that. So yes, I am completely self-taught, and no, I wouldn't feel comfortable drafting and selling patterns because I don't know how to do that well enough. And one thing that I would like to do is if a pattern company wanted to work with me and I could come up with the ideas, and it could be a collaboration on, say for example, my style with their pattern know-how, that I would be totally up for and it would be awesome. But no, I don't think any time in the future that I'll be doing that. Next up is a question from Helen, and this is really funny because when we get to the YouTube questions, somebody asked a question about washing and Dad actually answered it, and I was like, Dad, the point of a Q&A, getting questions for a Q&A, is that you answer them in the video, and you're answering it like in the comments. That's not what you do, and I've done exactly that with this one. So Helen has said, are you planning on running any more in-person sewing courses like the NCW one you did? And I think I've answered that a few times already. Yes, I am. In the future, when I have the space, I would love to do that. And I also, that's the answer I gave you on YouTube, on Facebook. And then Helen's also gone on to, so Karma's encouraged her by saying, with enough planning time, I would totally fly over and participate in an NCW course. And then Helen said, just putting it out there, what about sewing retreat on the island at the hotel of Seafront, which is the place that I want to buy and live? We could all then go to the Spyglass for dinner. Maybe something for future plans, Sian. Actually, with you having said that, Mum and I then talked about approaching the hotel and finding out how much it would be to have it for a weekend and things like that. But then there's a lot of logistic problems with that, because we'd need to source sewing machines and all those sorts of things. So we are thinking about it, and this is in the super early stages of like just not even having written anything down on paper, so don't hold me to that, but we're thinking about it. We're going to have a look and see about the logistics and if it's even viable. So yes is the answer, simply that I would like to be doing in-person sewing classes every now and again. Christine has a couple of questions. So she said, just a couple of little questions. How do you get your clients? Do you advertise on the island? Did you ever make a traditional wedding dress? Messy smiley face. So Christine, I'm not taking commissions anymore. I will do a few here and there for people that I am involved with in my general day-to-day life. But random customers that I've never met before, I'm not taking those kind of commissions on anymore, because of the reasons I stated earlier. It's very stressful and it is not financially viable for me. I did advertise, I did take clients when I had the physical shop at the chili farm, so I would have people walk in, find me that way, and word of mouth. And as for advertising, the entire property was advertised. There were lots of different shops under one roof. That entire place was advertised, so I did advertise on the island, but I don't now. And I have never made a traditional white wedding dress. I have made my sister-in-law's wedding dress, and then I made 3 different wedding dresses for a lovely lady last year, but they again were not traditional big white dresses. And the idea of doing that terrifies me, because it's a lot of money and it's someone's big day, and I don't think I could deal with the stress. So no, don't want to do that. So Mary, the lovely Mary from Pre-Cut Nuts here on Facebook, who has sent me so many different pieces of yummy fabric and goodies, so very, very kind of you, Mary, thank you. You have asked a very long question, so I would love to know more about you and all that kind of stuff. Really anything about your family and stories of living in Saudi, plus what your plans moving forward. Well, I've answered the plans moving forward and I'll get back to the Saudi. Do you have any plans to expand and maybe do an event? I think I've answered that. I would, yeah, sewing classes and stuff, yes. Events as in, I'm guessing you mean kind of like sewing retreats. Yes, I'd love to do that. I've seen other ladies do sewing cruise events that sell out all the time, or buy that big hotel you spoke of and have events there maybe. Yes, that is what I would like to do. I wonder if you could do a crowdfunding or get some investors. That would be lovely. but I mean, it's just under £1 million, which is a lot of money, so there's a lot of crowdfunding. I know I believe in you and want you to have the wild success beyond your wildest dreams, which is so amazing. Mary has been so supportive and is just so lovely. The emails and messages and ideas that she sends me are amazing, and I appreciate it. I love reading your emails. Plus, I know lots of us would love to sew and meet others who sew, would love to have the opportunity for events. I would love to learn how to art quilt from your mum and purses from you. So yes, basically that is what I'm hoping to get the business going on towards in the future. It's not going to be for a while yet. I think if we did start a crowdfunding or something like that, it would take quite a long time because it needs a lot of money. But I'm going to start much smaller than the £1 million hotel that I want to buy and work my way up to that, hopefully, or something along those lines. As for Saudi, Mum and Dad moved over there for about... They lived in 2 different places over about 8 years with a break in the middle, and Mum was headhunted for a job out there. Mum was the director of nursing on the Isle of Wight at the local hospital, and that's why she moved here. And then she was headhunted to go out there, and it was something that Mum loved to do, which is training. And so she had gone out to set up training schemes and was in charge of nearly 3,000 nurses and recruitment and development of those nurses. So that's why Mum and Dad lived out in Saudi for as long as they did. Joe is another question, so she had it again. Oh gosh, I should stop asking questions. However, have you ever been on a cruise? How much fun would it to be planning all the formal wear and looking for fabric shops when in port? Also, rather selfishly, it would make a great weekly vlog. That is a very good idea, Joe. I have been on a cruise. I went with Mum when I was 18 and we went to Cancun for 5 days. We cruised around the Caribbean for 7 days, and then we had 2 more days back in Cancun before flying back to the UK. I loved it. It was brilliant. It was a Thompson's cruise, so it was all inclusive as well, so it wasn't a luxury cruise by any way, shape or form. But whenever I go on holiday, I always overpack and overdress, and I don't care because it's hot and it's sunny and I like wearing pretty things. So yes, I would definitely like to go on a cruise to plan all the formal wear and then go shopping at all the fabric shops that I could find in the ports that we went to. I have to say though, I think I'd like to do that with a partner. I mean, as much as I love Mum and Dad, and if I had a partner and Mum and Dad came as well, that would be really cool. But those kind of things, you do kind of feel a bit Billy No Mates if you don't have a partner. And everyone kept saying to Mum and I, it was like, oh, it's so lovely that you two are together, and it's like, she's my mum, not my girlfriend. Yeah, there was an American couple at the hotel who were absolutely convinced that we were a couple, because I was supposed to be going on this holiday with a boyfriend and we broke up, so Mum came and stood in for him, and you know, but it was a romantic hotel and everyone was convinced that we were a couple, and it was trying to explain to this American couple and they were like, no, we're fine with it, lesbians are great. We're like, no, mother, daughter. Carrie, back again. Carrie said, I want to know if you dream about sewing much. I do, especially if I'm trying to figure out a complicated pattern. And then Elizabeth, who I have mentioned a couple of times from Liz Sews, has said, I know I do, even if it's not particularly challenging sew, my brain just wants to go through the steps over and over until I actually do it. Yeah, I do. If I'm making stuff and I go to sleep in the middle of it, I'm continuing to sew the garment in my head when I'm asleep, and I have those moments when you wake up and you're like, oh, no, that's not done, that's just in my head. That's annoying. So yes, I do dream about sewing. And then Carrie has also gone on to say, also, do you speed up if you know your bobbin is about to run out? I always do. It's like, it's going to last longer if I sew quicker. I know what you mean. My machine is brilliant. It will tell me when I get to 20%, and then it will give me 2% decreases in increments down to 8%, and then it's less than 8%, and then from there it's kind of bobbin roulette as to whether I can get to the end of the seam or not. But more often than not, when it gets to less than 8%, I'll take it out and there's not a lot left on, and I'll put a new bobbin on. But I can't say that I sew quicker. I know I kind of get where you're coming from though. Oh, and the last question from the KB Peeps, Lynette has said, thought of something else, can you do a how-to for poses for pics and video tutorials, please? Seriously, kiss. Yes, posing for pictures is not too bad. What you want to do is you want to stand slightly off center to camera, so you want to angle your body away but then look back at the camera. You want to put all of your weight on your back foot so that your front foot, you can kind of like just put it on tiptoe, so cock that a little bit. You want to put your hand on your hip and yeah, sort of like hands on hips and turn back and smile. Or you need to think about what you're going to do with your hands. I mean, I picked all these different things because I did some modelling when I was younger, so I've picked those kind of things up from different places. And then also the weight on your back foot, cock your front leg slightly side onto camera is how we were taught to pose as bunnies at Playboy. So I don't think I'm going to do a whole video on it, but they're definitely the way that you want to. I'll feature it in a vlog. I'll put it in a vlog of like how I stand and pose. I can't do it today because I was going to do outdoor twirls and it's absolutely peeing down with rain, so I've had to do twirls in front of my door because that's the only sort of plain surface that I have. Everywhere else is just stuff. Yeah, I've crammed this place full, but yes, I'll put one in a vlog. We have done Instagram, we have done the KB Peeps. Now we need to go on to the Kittenish Behaviour Facebook page because I know there were some questions on that. I just got to find the post because I know there were a few questions on that one. Oh, come on internet. Here we go. Oh, so there's only 2 questions on this one. Alicia has asked what's your connection to Saudi, so I've answered that. Mum and Dad lived out there because Mum was headhunted out there and got one of her dream jobs, got to do it for just over 8 years and thoroughly enjoyed it. The country is interesting. It's becoming the new Crown Prince is making a lot of changes that the world has been saying that he should make for a long time because it was very restrictive to women, and Mum was the only female on the board of directors and had to really fight for respect and her voice to be heard there. But it's quite a controversial country, and it was interesting to go. It was lovely to see my parents there, but it was not somewhere that I would ever have picked to put on a holiday destination list. But yes, my connection to Saudi is that my mum worked there, so I went out to visit her a couple of times. And then Salvador has asked what's the story behind the ring on your thumb. So technically this is actually 3 sterling silver rings, and there is no story behind them. I've bought these separately over the years. They're solid silver, and I think I've been wearing them on my thumb, gosh, since I was 19 years old, so for about 20 years now. And I think I saw somebody with a thumb ring on and I was like, oh, that's cool. And yeah, they're always there. So that's those. The only time I ever took them off was when I was working at Playboy, because you couldn't wear jewellery. The only thing you could wear was a wedding ring and an engagement ring if you had them, but there was no earrings, no necklaces, no watches, no bracelets, and no other rings, so I had to take them off for Playboy. But other than that, I never took these off. So no particular story. I like silver and I like these and I like how they look. So that's it for the KB Facebook page. Oh, but it's not this video, but Ruby Loves Rocket has asked a question on this video, so that's good. And she says, are you still accepting queues for the Q&A? Because then, how old were you when you got your first job? 16. How many jobs, professions have you had? Lots. Travel agent, model, dancer, insurance, croupier. Oh, 7. I've had 7 different jobs. Favourite, what I do now. Least favourite, the insurance companies. God, that was boring. If you ever had to stop being a seamstress or either return to a previous job or get a whole brand new one, what would you like to do? I said this before, I would go back to being a croupier, definitely. It's fun, and I'm a night owl, so working night shifts is not a problem, so yeah, that one. First question is from Louise B. You always comment, thank you for doing that. And you have asked, I have a question for your Q&A, and I don't know if you've been asked this before. If you could sew any garment costume for any one person, either real or fictional, who would it be and what would you sew? Oh, actually that's quite easy. I would, the Wicked Queen, Regina George from, no, not Regina George. That's from, oh, what's that Lindsay Lohan movie? That is from Mean Girls. Regina George, not her. Regina Mills. Regina Mills, that's it. The Wicked Queen from Once Upon a Time. I want to make one of the Wicked Queen outfits, and I plan on making one of those for me. But yeah, that would be really cool because she wears the most amazing stuff, so I'd like to make something for her. That would be awesome. And no, I don't think I've been asked that before. The Pink Frog, just a question, would you ever think about having your own fabric store, sewing and quilting shop where you live, maybe collaborating with your mum and opening a shop together? We did think about it. We actually went as far as looking at premises and with the idea of buying somewhere, and as lovely as that idea is, I wouldn't get to sew because I wouldn't have time. I'd have to be running the shop because it's a full-time, I mean obviously it's a full-time job, and as lovely as, and I wouldn't make any money because I wouldn't be able to sell the fabric. I'd keep it all. Be like, no, I need it. None of you can have it. It's mine. So I love that idea, but no, I don't think that's where we are heading. And Mum is the same. I think the idea of having the access to it all, great, but the having to do the actual work, not so great. And Mum is totally enjoying her retirement and doesn't even know how she had time to do her proper job when she had it because of all the stuff that she's getting up to now. So yes, no, that's never going to happen. Sage has asked, is there a way to hack a wrap dress neckline so it's not so low? Yeah, I would think there would be. My initial reaction, so I've got the Eve Sew Over Eve dress on the brain because I've made that that's the most recent wrap dress that I've made, and that comes down to quite narrow points at both sides. So my initial reaction would be to, rather than have it come down into what is where you put the waist strap on, I would raise the side seam up, and so have the wrap portion be much higher. How would I don't think it would actually then end up being able to be a proper wrap. I think it would have to be a faux wrap dress that you would put either a back zip or a side zipper in, but you could raise up the side portion of each wrap over piece and sew that into the side seams like the By Hand London Flora, although again I think that comes down quite low, so I think you'd have to. In all honesty, I wouldn't know off the top of my head. That's my initial gut reaction, is that yes, you could do it, but without fussing around with it, I couldn't tell you exactly how to do it. Oh, so Megan has asked, how much were the cute hedgehogs and where did you get them? What's the name of the shop? The hedgehogs are £10 each, I believe, and they are from Sylvie Bears, and I will include her Facebook page down below so that you guys can check that out. Karen of Karen So Fab has asked, what are your favourite pair of shoes and how many pairs do you have? These are my favourite pair of shoes. They are beautiful and stunning and so glittery and sparkly, and they have little skulls on them and just, oh, so pretty. These are by Philip Plien, who I had never heard of. So my ex had taken me to Monaco and we'd won at the casino the night before, so we'd gone out shopping, and he wanted to buy me something from Monaco so that I would remember that holiday. And we found, I wanted a Hervé Leger bandage dress, but we couldn't find anywhere that stocked them, and we walked the entirety of Monaco looking for them, and then we stumbled across this shop in one of the malls and I tried them on. I fell in love, and then we went to buy them and I nearly had a heart attack because they were €2,000. They also came in a nude colourway, which I was very tempted by, but I think I ended up going for the black because I was just like, oh, they're so gorgeous. But yeah, €2,000 for a pair of shoes. So I don't wear them very often, but they are out on display because, oh, they actually need a bit of a dust. But oh, these are my favourite pair of shoes. I love them so much. So yeah, those ones. As to how many pairs of shoes I have, I think it's about 50 now. I think I've gotten rid of majority of my super large platform ones. I got rid of a lot of those recently because I just don't wear them anymore. So I think I've got about 50 pairs, but I'm going to do a look through my shoe closet video, so I will tell you exactly how many I have once I've done that. Karin is the lovely lady from Germany who sent me the Dirndl challenge pattern and Birdestar pattern, fabrics and goodies, the other day, and I haven't now finished all of the sweets. No, there's one bag of sweets left. No chocolates though. She has asked, I'd like to answer a question which is not asked in the comments. Perhaps a question you've wondered why you've never been asked. I don't know, I think you guys have been pretty thorough in asking all of the things. What have I never been asked that I've always thought, why have I not been asked that? I'll have to think about that, Karen, and come back to it. Sarah Ennis has asked, what iron do you use? I think mine's a Philips, and it's a cordless one, and I love it. Yeah, mine's a Philips cordless, and it is awesome. I really like it. Okay, so the next question is from Joanne, and this is the one that I sort of said to Dad, no, the point of Q&As is that you don't answer the questions in the comments, I do it in the video. So Joanne asked, when you or the fabric washing fairy pre-wash your fabrics, do you use laundry detergent or just give the fabric a soap? Keep up the good work. Thank you, Joanne. Yes, I think Dad's answered this, but yes, I use detergent and softener, and I wash most of my fabrics on 30 degrees. Some I will tumble dry afterwards on a hot tumble dry, so that any of the shrinkage that's going to happen does happen. I don't tumble dry scuba anymore because I found that tumble drying it increased the pilling on it, and it was making the dresses look a bit shabbier quicker than I would have liked. And there are obvious ones that I don't pre-wash, like silks, and what else would I not pre-wash? Wool for a coat, that kind of thing. I might have that steamed. So I tend to try and pre-wash the fabrics, or have the fabric washing fairy pre-wash the fabrics in the manner that I plan on treating the finished garment. And so the majority of times that's 30 degrees with detergent, with softener, and then for the first time when it's just fabric, I will do a hot tumble dry, and then from then on I hang all things up to drip dry from then on. So yes, hope that answers your question. Katie has asked, why did you go from living and working in London, what job did you do there, to living with your parents and deciding to run your own business? I tried to catch up with the extensive back catalogue, but I may have missed it. Right, so I think I've answered this already, but I moved to the island 4 years ago because Mum and Dad were living abroad, so the house was empty. I had quit my job at Playboy. I was a croupier at the club there. I had quit my job there to do Kittenish Behaviour as a full-time occupation. The London rent is extortionate, and I was not earning enough money to sustain the lifestyle that I wanted to in London when there was a free house here on the island, so I moved down here. I decided to start running my own business because my then boyfriend was incredibly generous and very wealthy, and very kindly gave me the startup money for my company so that I could do what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. So I am very, very aware that I am very, very lucky, and that I was given an amazing opportunity, which I hope I have made the most of, or am making the most of. The relationship didn't last, but the company has. I think that's it. I think I have answered all of the questions. I'm really sorry if I've missed anyone. I didn't take screen caps of them as they came in. I just went back. Oh no, I know there's one more. So the final question I've got came in via email, and it was from Julie, and she said, "Hi Sian and Chiana, I have a question for you. Are your family accepting applications for new family members? I could apply for the older sister to you and baby bother, little sister or niece to your mum and dad, maybe crazy American cousin. I absolutely adore your videos where the whole family appear, and while I'm not overly crazy about fashion, I always watch whatever you put up. I'm a confirmed cat lover, and I enjoy your insights on Chiana's thoughts. I have a husband and 3 cats of my own to bring to the mix, but we'd all fit in well. Plus, I love the lifestyle you enjoy, and I'm crazy about the Aga in your parents' kitchen. As a bonus, my husband always takes care of the critters for me. Best, Julie." Julie, that's lovely, but we're not, unfortunately, I can't speak today. Unfortunately, we're not accepting new family member requests at this time. And thank you so much for the email. Thank you so much for taking the time to send that in. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying the channel and all of the Chiana waffle as well. And yeah, that is it. I think I found every question that you guys sent in, and I'm really sorry if I missed anything, and if I did, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will do another one of these in probably a couple of months' time so that you guys can think of questions. Karen, I can't think of anything that I would want to answer that nobody's asked me as yet. I will continue thinking about that and I will let you know. But yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of a thing. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!